Hello, welcome to the Atlassian Jaipur chapter event number 1 for 2022. I'm the community lead for the Atlassian chapter of Jaipur. My name is Pareek. Before I go on for the event, let me introduce myself. I'm part of the global DevOps COE practice for NatWest Group, which is one of the leading banking groups in the world for more than 400 years now. So if you've heard of NatWest Market, NatWest International, Royal Bank of Scotland, Hertz Bank, Cadman Company, Lombard Insurance, the list goes on and on. So what I'm doing I'm part of the DevOps Center of Excellence practice. I'm also on the board of governance for an open source project, which is Autolus. I'm also a global ambassador for DevOps Institute. I'm also on a board of expert panel for Cloud Credential Council. I'm also on the influencer panel for DASA, which is DevOps Agile and Skill Association. I have co-authored white paper on digital skills. I'll share you the link in the chat box. Last year, I've also co-authored a book on site reliability engineering and a few other things which happened and part of global events every now and then. So what we're doing in this particular community event is, and why it is more significance is, this community is more about understanding what other people, colleagues globally are doing in the areas of using the Atlassian tool. So it is not at all a demos of the Atlassian tool, but what real life problems on a day-to-day basis are the people solving. This community also gives you the opportunity to learn from about the new products that colleagues are using. In this sort of community events, you get the chance to talk to the SMEs in their respective areas directly. It also gives you an opportunity to give back to the community in many different ways. Through networking, there's a good opportunity of growing your career. I'm pretty hopeful when this all COVID settles down, we might do something in as a physical event. Also, you get the chance of sharing and learning, and in my view, the most beautiful opportunity that can people learn from is by sharing with the audience. And definitely, one last thing in this event. When you're asking questions, the top 4 questions will be rewarded with a gift coupons. So keep asking questions, and our panel, which is the speakers for today, will be judging, which question should be awarded the top 4 awards. So without wasting any further time, let me introduce our first speaker. His name is Sudhakar. He is there working for London for a very long time, part of the Tata Consultancy Services. More about Sudhakar, I'll ask Sudhakar to talk about it. So here you go, Sudhakar.
Thank you, Siddharth. Hello, everyone. I'm Sudhakar. I'm a senior Scrum Master and Transformation Lead in TCS. So I have close to around 17 years of experience. And so far, I've worked with many banks and explored their way of working. And as a part of agile transformation for the major banks here in London, and almost last 7-8 years, I'm using JIRA, exploring the features, how it will help your product owners, your leadership team, Scrum Master, your team. Okay. And this is my first event. Thank you, Siddharth, for having me here. Okay, so that's the introduction of mine. Let me share my screen. Or Siddharth, you want to go to Ashutosh for introduction, or I'll start my session now?
You may start with. We'll go with Ashutosh later.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me share my screen. I hope it's visible, right? You can see my PPT here.
Yes, it is, Sudhakar. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, guys. So today we are going to cover 2 features of JIRA. The first is structure for JIRA, and second one is Swimlanes. Okay. Why it's not going? Okay, yeah. This is the content. Okay, I'm having assumption like everyone has the basic understanding of JIRA here. They know about what is the JIRA issues and links, what kind of different boards is available in the JIRA actually. The basic understanding is fine here. So taking this assumption, let's start. So as you know, the JIRA comes with many features actually, and that works very well if you're managing a single team actually. So you have a Scrum board, you have a Kanban board, you have different fancy reports, and you can use for them the matrices, all kind of stuff actually. And if you're managing a single team, you can easily manage and give the overview or reporting to your leadership team, or your team can also easily view like what is going on this project. Okay, so that works pretty well if you have like single team. The all inbuilt feature works very well actually here in JIRA. But if you are managing the multiple teams, okay, like in your project you have almost 700 teams working together, a single project or backlog actually, so that comes that's the issue actually in the scaling actually. I'll come like with my example in my current team project actually. So we have around 6 teams and they are working on common program. We have a common program backlog actually, and each teams have their own Scrum board. Few teams are using Kanban board, okay, and they have like planning session, grooming session separately, okay. But because we are working, all teams working towards a common program backlog, and we have a every quarterly we have a milestone also set up actually. So we have a like kind of big group planning also session where all teams sit together with the product owner, the stakeholders, and they do the planning session. And we do this grooming session also, okay, there. So when I joined this team, so we have started, we don't have this JIRA structure for JIRA earlier actually. So what issue I faced earlier actually, so when teams started working on it, and when my leadership team wants like where this project is heading actually, because every quarterly we have a milestone actually. So they want to me know what is the current status of this program actually, not at the project level actually. What is the state of the program actually? How many stories are now completed? How many story points are completed? What are the dependency actually? Because when you're working on the multiple teams and all teams are working together to common product goal actually, so they have a dependency also there actually, okay. And leadership, because of this budgeting forecasting, they want this whole holistic view of this program actually. So what earlier I was doing, I was just going to JIRA, taking the dump from the individual project or Scrum board or Kanban board, using the Excel actually, and doing some reporting or using some charts earlier actually. Then I came to know for this good feature of JIRA, this structure of JIRA actually, that gives me a feature where I can give the holistic view of my whole program actually, okay. So they before going to structure of JIRA, they have several other options other than JIRA actually, like portfolio, big picture, and there's some few third-party apps also integrated actually. So, but today we are going to discuss on this structure for JIRA, okay. So when I started using this structure of JIRA, so I have everything in a single view actually. So that leadership was looking actually. So if you see on this this sample picture here actually, so I can so what I am doing actually, I am pulled on all the program backlog in a single view, and I have, and the good feature of the JIRA structure is you can build n number of hierarchy underneath actually. So like if you have a like initiative here actually, big initiative, under that we have a different capabilities, and capabilities have the several epics, and epics has divided in several stories here actually, okay. So with use of this structure of JIRA, you can pull all these capabilities epics in a single view actually. Okay, and that gives you progress, like which feature is heading actually, where it's, and you can use for the dependency also. You can see like how much story is now consumed, how many story points are left actually, how much time it's spent actually. Okay, there is a one, this is one use case like where leadership using for that forecasting, or they want to know the what is the project is heading actually. You can use this structure for Jira for the sprint planning and backlog grooming. That I'll comes to later stage actually. So and you can use in other way also. You can customize also this tool actually for your requirements. Okay, any question here actually? I can see the chat. Siddharth, just let me know if any question comes
Sudhakar,
from.
I have a query here. When
Hello?
we use, Sudhakar, am I audible?
Yes, Subhash, go ahead, please.
Yeah, perfect. See, we are using structure, right? So how is this different from the advanced roadmap? Because even that
Oh,
has a
yeah.
clear picture demarcation, I mean, differentiation between the different stages, right, of the epic or story. Even Jira work management, which is on a higher level, the business requirement. On a higher level, we can give the glance of the epic or story to the higher management using JW. So how is this? I mean, as a big picture of portfolio or even the structure. Yeah, just my question. Sorry for that.
Yeah, that portfolio comes with a different actually feature actually. You can use for the same actually. You can just say like it's kind of like different app available actually from the different vendors actually. Okay, in the portfolio you have like you can basically, I am using portfolio for the creating the roadmap actually. Okay, where this structure for Jira you can use for your sprint planning, even in your backend grouping session also, and it works very well with if you're using the SAFe in your organization actually. Okay, so it, yeah, there's
Okay.
other feature that portfolio providing which not in there, but structure of Jira, it's the main feature is to visualize your whole uh, status and create the n number of hierarchy actually. You can create the folder here also. You can associate it with us this Confluence also. So those are few features that is not in the portfolio. So portfolio is just for the roadmap and creating that if you have like Gantt chart, you can create the Gantt chart also in the portfolio. So but
Okay.
yeah, but structure of Jira has a little bit different use case actually. You can customize for your backlog grooming and sprint planning, and like you rightly said, like portfolio both works well actually, but it's come from the different vendors that have different features. But it's structure of Jira is very powerful if you start using, because you can use your own formula here actually. You can customize the columns here actually. So it comes with a different, very vast variety of features, and it has a Gantt chart also. So that comes in the as an advanced feature. Hope I
Perfect.
answer your question.
Yeah,
Yes.
I got it. I just to reiterate my understanding. So we are using this structure at a portfolio level, which means at a scaled agile level, right? So for
Yes, yes,
example,
yes,
if
yes.
I have two teams, one is using the Kanban board exclusively, whereas another team is using the Jira, I mean Jira Scrum board. So in this scenario where the or project is not at a scaled level, but at an individual level, but as a Scrum Master, if we have to handle both the projects, which is completely running on Kanban and another on Scrum, so do you suggest
Mhm.
structure, because it looks very clean? The screen you are showing, right? The visual, the UI looks pretty clean and good. So in my
Yes.
scenario, will I be able to use this structure?
See, if you have a two teams, you can use actually. It will. It's again like if your teams having the dependency between actually, right? Like it ideally structure of a Jira works very well if you have like multiple teams, at least 6 or 7 teams, and you are struggling to get the view of all the teams together actually. Two teams can also use. It's not a like rule, a thumb rule that you cannot use for structure of Jira for the single team or multiple teams, but it works very well if you have a multiple teams, because then only you can use the structure properly. But for the two teams, definitely you can use. You can use for the your planning session. You can see the you can do the capacity planning also with a team. If you have some interdependency between the team, you can highlight. There's other section in the there in this section we have a like dependency section also, so that you can use. Yeah, it's all depend on the use cases.
Perfect. Got it. Yeah. Thank you, Sudha.
Thank you for asking, Subhash. Okay. Why it's not going? 1 minute, guys. Okay, yeah. So, so basically, structure of JIRA, it's helped you to visualize the relationship actually. Okay, and that's cover all the issue actually. And good thing is you can create n number of hierarchy. I have seen like few clients, they have like almost 8 or 9 level of hierarchy actually. They were starting from the initiative, capacity, feature, epic, story, subtask. Everything you can build here actually showcase actually. Yeah, so it's all depend on your organization structure of JIRA and how you're going to manage actually. Okay, and hierarchy you can create n number of, right? There's a few use cases that I already discussed, like you can use for the portfolio level, you can organize the test cases, you can use for the backlog grooming, you can use for the planning session, and for the especially the who are using the safe, it works very well actually. Okay, I'll go pretty fast here, like how to create the JIRA structure. Okay, so so when you have a structure in your JIRA, okay, so there's a couple of options, like there's as other JIRA option we have. So like you can create the structure or you can manage. While managing, you have a copy and create the template. Like if you have a like you have a Scrum Master, you're managing multiple teams, and you create this structure of JIRA, right? So you can, what you can do, you can create the template also, and then you can pass it to your team also, other team also, so they can use your template actually, rather than they can create starting and then they can use as a template also. Okay, so and when you, there is two options, like creating the new or managing actually. So when you starting first time JIRA, so that comes with a multiple option, like you can use this backlog structure or Gantt chart or agile structure or empty structure. I prefer to start from the empty structure. Okay, and structure of JIRA comes with a two major like you can create the structure of JIRA in two different ways actually, top down, sorry, before that there's two way of creating the structure of JIRA, like automation and manual. So I'm using personally as an automation actually, because in automation you have inbuilt feature of updates. You can get the updates, like assuming like in my case, like as I said, I have 6 teams actually, and they are working on the 6 capabilities. So assuming in the 6 capabilities, we have one epic, and later product owner decided this epic has to go to this team C actually. Okay, so if I moving this epic to team C, automatically structure of JIRA will automatically update that hierarchy or relationship. You no need to do anything here actually. So that is comes as the dynamic structure as part of automation. Okay, and in automation you can use structure of JIRA for 2 ways, top down and bottom up actually. I personally using for both actually. So top down basically goes when you have to give the reports to your leadership team, or you have to give reports to your product owners, architects actually, and they want to see actually this epic where this feature is falling actually, and what are the dependencies there, what are the how many blocker issues are there, how this dependency is managing there actually. So what in the top down, what you can do, you can use the top hierarchy and extend it to your underneath the issues actually, starting from the initiative, capability, feature, whatever you say in your organization, you can use that one, and this top down automation will give all the hierarchy actually. And good thing is that you can remove also, if you don't want one capability to be addressed, you can remove that also. Okay, so I personally using this top down for my leadership team, and bottom up automation I'm using within my team. If I have a session with the team where I'm doing this product backlog grooming session, sprint planning, I'm using this bottom up automation. Okay, so I'll quickly go here actually. So it's and a good thing of structure of JIRA, if you don't want to use a JQL, or if you don't want to do any coding or anything, you can just do the plug and play actually. So it comes with a different feature of like when you create, after clicking of this create option, it comes as the automation. So you can select the automation or go for the manual. In the automation, you have a different feature, like you can insert the JQL, you can insert your existing board, and later you can group all the boards. Okay, so like here I'm just adding the JQL based on the and I'm filtering down all the epics here. Okay, so once I select, it will show all the epics here like that. Okay. Okay, the one more thing, like very good thing is that once you list down all the epics, there's the option to extend story with epic. Once you select the stories, then it comes automatically story subtasks under the stories actually. So once you list down all the epics, you can extend your structure. It's all depend on you actually. Maybe leadership team wants only capability. So what I have done actually, I created the two different structure, top-down structure. One for the leadership, they only looking the epic or feature level progress actually. They don't want, they are least worry about the story, where story is leading actually. Okay, so what you can do actually, create the structure for the leadership team, create the structure for the product owners. Okay, because product owners are more interested on the stories. Okay, or you can create the structure for the architects also. Maybe there are maybe the out of 6 capability, 3 capabilities where architects are working on it actually. They are more interested like this, where this epic or stories are going ahead actually. If there's any dependencies there, they are more interested. So you can create multiple structure based on your organization, based on the persona. Like for the architects, different structure, they are more interested in the capabilities. Organization level, you can create whole structure where leadership is looking for the capability wise progress. Yeah. Okay, so this is the top down. You can extend your epic, then story will come under the epic, and then you can extend your subtasks also. So it will show you the subtasks also here. Okay, another use case of using this is the using in the backlog grooming session. So what in my case actually, we have this big room planning session. It's not kind of like exactly same as I say, but what we are doing, we have a like one day whole day workshop actually. So where all product owners or team members are sit together actually with the architects, and they're working on that one actually. So before using this structure of Jira, what I was doing, I was using the Excel, because there is no other way I can pull all the epics or capability in a single landscape actually. Okay, so I have just taking the dump and using that Excel. But after using this structure of Jira, what I'm doing, I have created the like a specific board for the backlog grooming session actually, structure for Jira actually, where I just using the stories or epic where I use that is required for that particular session actually. So instead of taking all the stories or epic or capability, you can just filter down only story level actually. So it's just creating the hierarchy from bottom up actually, from bottom to up actually, but it comes with the same feature. Okay, like in grooming session, what exactly you're looking for actually, you need this assignee, you need a sprint name, you need the story points, all you can easily customize and group actually. Like once you have a story, you can use the group by feature and group by the assignee, or you can group by the sprint name, or group by the other things that is required actually, based on the group by the status also. Okay, so this bottom up I'm using bottom up in my backlog grooming session. It works very well. Even I'm using in the sprint planning also actually. Okay, so I can, because I'm using the Kanban also, so I can see which assignee is working on which story. And it's not for my team actually, because I'm managing multiple teams, so I need to know actually who is working on which story and where is the capacity is there actually. So this gives me holistic view. And you can customize easily actually, group by sprint, group by status, group by epic actually. So there's hundreds of columns that you can customize here. Okay, and there's another way of creating, instead of automation, you want like if you have a 6 capability, but you are managing 2 capability, and you want the Jira structure only for those 2 capabilities, rather than you're not interested of other 6 teams actually, other 4 teams actually. So you can customize your Jira structure for your own need actually. So like I'm using for the like one of my architect asked me actually that he was working on 2 different features actually. So I've created the structure of JIRA for him actually, and I just pulled down specific features or capabilities that he is interested actually. So that you can easily use this manually way of this building the structure actually. Okay, so this top down, it's pulled automatically all the feature underneath. Okay, and bottom up also, starting from the bottom actually, bottom to up. In manually you can customize and you can search and insert actually. If you want like particular story A, you can just just put your story name here and just drag and drop actually. It will create the structure for you actually, and for the specific needs. And as I said earlier, like the column is very useful actually, and it comes with almost hundreds of fields actually. And you can use you can create the column for the time tracking, for the resolution, custom percentage. You can use in the save, like I have seen people are using for this weighted job first calculation also they're using. So you can use this column customize as you what based on your requirement actually. And if you know about this quick filters actually, so you can, once you create this structure, you can easily change the view based on the status, based on the version and subtask actually here. Okay, and there are the few common use cases for the structure, like for the, you can use in the save actually. If you're using the save, it works very well, where you can pull all the your hierarchy from this, starting from the portfolio program level, and it gives you the single holistic view actually for your team actually. And you can use for your PI planning also, like instead of using the program backlog, you can create your structure here and gives you all the feature altogether. You can use for your sprint planning, capacity planning, and see the team progress also. I'm personally using this one actually for because I'm managing multiple teams. I need to know like where this story is, whose story is where this story points is consuming, and how much story points is left, what is the status, where is the dependencies there. Okay, that you can use. You can use pretty well in the sprint planning, that I'm personally using the sprint planning, because in my planning session, I have 3 teams sitting together. So, and they have some dependency between the other teams also. So you can easily use in the sprint planning and do the capacity also. And you can use, if you're using the Kanban, you can just assign, you can just use a assigning feature of column and just distribute your feature in the row level. Okay. Any questions, guys? So that is for the structure of a JIRA. I know it's pretty fast, but time allows me that one only. And if you have any question, just ping me. Okay. And it's pretty straightforward actually. You can use as a plug and play. Okay. Fine. Okay. Let's move the next topic, JIRA Swimlanes. Okay. And Swimlanes is also one of the another powerful feature actually. It's depend on all your requirements, like how you want to manage or view your records actually. So by default, if you've seen that your JIRA board comes in a column way, right? So all the issues you can see in the column. Like I feel like is a standard Kanban board, you can see like all the issues are in the column. Like we have a to do, build, QA, like so all the issues are lying on the column, on the vertical. Okay, that at and this like based on your workflow, all status or stories or epic are sitting there actually. With the Swimlanes, what you can do, you can visualize your or divide your issues in the row level actually. They will sit in the same workflow, but you can categorize or you can visualize your story in the row level actually. So assume in your project there's and you're working on some regulatory or legal requirement actually, or that feature has to be completed within a month actually, or that is a high priority issue. Okay, so what you can do, you can create the Swimlanes for that particular issue. Okay, and that comes automatically on top of your this board actually. Like if I have any blocker issue that is the highest priority issue for the management, you can just create the Swimlane and that will show you like that. So that is horizontally that categorize your issues actually. Okay, that it will not impact your workflow, but you can create n number of row level of issues there actually. Like if you have a blocker issue, critical issue, major issue, you want to segregate like, and you can use this swim lanes based on the labels, based on the your queries, based on the prioritization, based on the status. It's all depend on the use case actually. And I am personally using so much extensively this swim lanes because based on the requirement, because my architect wants, I want this feature to be addressed. So I've created the separate board for him where he can see like this story or this epic is lying here actually. Okay. For the management, I have created like this story, this epic is the highest priority issue, and that has to be completed with the one in the next 1 month actually. So you can create the swim lanes based on the timeline also. Like assuming in your team, they are working on very high priority issue that has to be completed in 2 weeks. So you can create the swim lanes that will say this epic, like out of 20 story, 3 stories has to be completed next 2 weeks or next week actually. So you can create the separate swim lanes for that, and it will say like this is the highest priority issue, has to be completed in next week. That will comes automatically appear for you actually. It's not a new feature, it's a very old feature. It comes from JIRA actually. So like when you create this JIRA board actually, Scrum board or Kanban board, you can go to board and configure, and you can use actually the swim lanes. So it's just a simple how do you separate your to-do list in an order way actually. Okay, and you can highlight most important section on top of your board actually. Like if you see here, they have like we have separate, like created the separate swim lanes, and those issues that were more important are appearing on top of your board. Okay, and I'll quickly go through that. Swim lanes comes in the you can create the swim lanes in the 6 different way: queries, story, assignee, epics, project, or you can use sometimes this no swim lanes also use actually. If no, you don't just want a whole view actually in the board actually, and just see so you can just select no swim lanes. But I personally using this query where you can expedite, or if you want to, out of 10 story, 4 stories are high priority, you can just use the feature of swim lane that will showcase in your horizontal way on top of the Scrum board, and rest will line below. Okay, so this is the straightforward. Like you have to go to the board, click setting, and go to the swim lane tab, and you can select all the 6 type of swim lanes from here. Okay, and you can use a JQL, simple JQL. There are few examples, like if you want to know that there's a particular task has to be completed in 24 hours, you can use the due date, you can use the priority, you can use the dependency also here actually. So dependency is very important actually. You can use that dependency feature if any multiple story has a dependency between them. So you can create the swim lanes for them, and that will highlight on your board. Any question, guys, here on the swim lanes? Okay, I take silence as a no. Okay, Siddharth, over to you.
Thank
Any
you, Sudhakar.
question from the forum? Yep.
What we'll do is, if you have any questions with Sudhakar, from Sudhakar, just type in the chat box, and Sudhakar is there till the end of this event, so he'll answer your questions separately. He's also shared his email address and contact point, so if you have any questions post the events, and if you want to reach out to him, you can definitely reach out to him the event. So, okay, our next speaker for the event is Ashutosh, and Ashutosh is a technical and project manager. He started as a backend engineer and is now a full stack engineer. So more about Ashutosh, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Siddharth. Like as Siddharth already briefed me, so I started as a backend engineer, and then during this course of journey, like I almost spent 13 years in IT field now, so has evolved and seen a lot of different technologies. Started with Java, and then at some point of time, around 7 years back, I moved on to front-end side, and now I play role of like product owner, product manager on front-end React-based application. So the idea behind Jira and presenting my ideas on it, like when I evolved from backend to a project manager, I saw like day-to-day observation. How should I keep track of my work? How should I keep track of my team's work? And when it comes to planning and all, how the best way I can explore the Jira. So that will remain my plan for this presentation. So I'm sharing my screen. I will go through some brief PPTs in few minutes, and then will show you with some Jira account how I can explore these options over there. So as like we all know, it's not only about project tracking. We can also track like our team over here. We can also track individuals' performance. We can track the team's how like velocity of the team is going. So there are different ways of tracking that. There are different charts we can generate as a part of a sprint planning that gives us a brief idea about where we are standing. For example, like we all use story points in Jira. So when we use velocity charts, it gives us idea like the gray bar suggests like what we plan for some sprint, and the green bar says like where we stand at the end of that sprint, and along with that comparison of past 4-5 sprints. So like something, if green is going down, we get an idea like team is slowing down or there are some issues that we have to address. And if it is like around 90% or above, which means we are as per plan of the execution. And there are different ways of tracking things that comes with the issue types, different workflow that you can design the way your project structured. Like if it involves multiple levels of QA, we can also include their part in workflow. If it doesn't, then maybe we can have a simplified workflow. So I'll show you these things. Again, like various parameters, I'm sure many of you already were using these things. When you are planning some release, let's say at the end of a couple of months, we can plan that release. We can tag that release to all those stories, and we can make a filter out of it so that we don't have to track those things on a day-to-day basis. Similarly, that release is specific to release, but if something is not yet known and we started using that in our project, Jira comes up with something called we label. So if you find anything new, just we can add those label. For example, like we created 50 stories and we want to bifurcate what are my front end stories and what are my back end stories. So labels are something we can add, and we can again make a jQuery on top of that. Similarly, if your project is little complex and you want to bifurcate that thing based on different components of that project, so Jira also provides us similar parameters for bifurcating that thing. Now, how we do these management, of course, there is workflow. We can create our own. Jira provides us, you can make it up to n level that you want. There are screens like whenever we perform any operation on Jira tickets that we call it a screen, it is again customizable. So you can create your own screen if you don't find what Jira provides has necessary benefits that you have. JQL is again one of the thing, and if you continuously using day-to-day JQL, we can utilize that as a filter. We can save it and we can then use it over the dashboards and gadgets. So of course, this is just some topics I want to show while we are using a Jira on our like day-to-day life. So just consider it as how I started using Jira and where I ended on to like some part of where I ended on to managing my team. So when I started, like that's the first thing, filters, where we can keep track of all our tickets. Like you can, if you are working on multiple projects, you can filter out your projects from it, what type of issues you are tracking. It is bug, story, or task, specific status if you want to track, or for you, or if any of your team you want to keep track of, you can do that with this. But again, this is the basic version. If you are advanced user, you can make your own JQL similar to something similar that we do with our SQL queries. So it will also give you some suggestion whenever you will start performing that thing. So let's say if I want to do for all my, let's say we have 3 users here. I can include all these users and there are 12 tickets and I want to keep track of progress of them. So we can create some filter. I don't want to run this query selecting so many filters every day. So I can save that in filter. Now I can, one way is I go every day on the filters, check my filter and look at the code here. But again, if this goes to some 50, 100 or 200, reading from here will make you difficult. To adjust that thing, we can use the dashboards that comes under category of dashboard. By default, there is one system dashboard where you can find your own tickets. But if you want to track your team's performance, you can utilize it over here. So there are plenty of gadgets, you can find it. But the most popular one that I feel is something we say like 2-dimensional filter. Basically, it gives you everything that we can use on a day-to-day basis. So just select for this, add it, and the query that we created over there, we can add it over here. So we just created filter with team 1. So I included that, and now what I want to track. Is it my individual? Is it my how much task they have? So select the appropriate property from it. So I'm just selecting assignees and the status their tickets are on. So it will just give me, if let's say if my team has 10 or 12 sites, I would be knowing my user 1 has 4 tickets and he hasn't completed anything yet. So like user 2 has 1, but he's working on 1. But this doesn't give me an idea of whether he's working on some story or some bug. So I can either make a duplicate of it, or instead of a status, I can track issue type from here. So instead of telling about the status, now it will tell me like which user has which number of bugs and how many numbers of story. So that creating customized dashboard like this gives me an idea of overall project progress on every day. So whenever like I start my day, I just review my dashboard, get my status of teams, like where they stand with, and then I am all set to connect with them. It's not only about the users. You can create a various charts as well here, configure similar queries. Like this is highlighting your individuals, but when let's say you want to send this report to someone, your lead or your managers, and you want to say like where your project stands. So you can configure those queries on these kind of pie charts as well. You can find it here, search it by, and it will give you similar charts. So we can have similar query here, like team 1 that we just created, and it will give us a overview of what is the progress of. We have like something like this, 75% in backlog and 16% is done. So that gives us a better visualization of the project where we stand at the current time whenever you run it. So this will give you real-time data. It's all depend on the filters that we run it. So whatever thing, if you want to get it at the project level, you can make your JQL on that. If you want to keep track a specific sprint, you can just make your JQL accordingly. So the filters of that result will work like that. So it's not about like JIRA provides almost like 31 free to use JIRA gadgets. Use whatever fits best for your day-to-day life. Like created versus resolved chart is something we use at the end of every sprint, so that we come to know how many defects were raised during that sprint and how many we have resolved. So but again, it depends on individual needs. You can explore here. So you can also utilize like resolution time here. In every tickets, like we do configure estimates. I'm sure you also do that. So something like original estimate, if you want, let's say you are observing some of your resources are slowing down for whatever reasons, And how can we track that? So whenever we start, we just put estimates on that ticket. And when you use that chart, and if uh, that ticket is taking more than the original estimate of the allocated time to that ticket, your bar charts will spike. So you will know which developer is slowing down, and you can address whatever concerns they are having. So that's something like I use day to day. And as we mentioned, like different boards Jira provides, like Kanban board we have, that gives us like whatever status we have in our let's me open one of the tickets. However you configure your workflow, you can go to any ticket and look at it. So depending on how many status we have, we can we can categorize those under our Kanban board or the sprint board. So by default, Jira automatically club them into multiple status. But if you want to change that, you can go over board setting, go to column, and just make a drag and drop from here. Like if you want something, let's say if you're in done, you also want to include QA field, just drag and drop here and refresh your Kanban board one more time, and it will be updated. So that's another thing we can utilize with Jira. Charts are at the end of a sprint or whenever you want to track. The charts are one of the key features uh, basically when we talk about management things. So they mostly focus on charts. So Jira provides plenty of charts, like couple of I have shown: created versus resolved chart, pie charts. Something like a recently created issue will give you red and green flag of each month, how many tickets were created and how many are still not done. So that way, down the line in the project development cycle, you will know which month is spent positive or which month we were observing issues. So there are plenty of these charts. Some comes under category for Kanban board, some comes under the category of Scrum board. So it depends if you're planning a sprint or not. Also, like Jira provides us, let's say you are working on some tickets, you can also integrate your Bitbucket or GitHub with that. So like we are getting details over here, we will also get the appropriate branch name and the commits you have made on that ticket. So let's say if you want to keep track your past history of project, or if you are reviewer or team lead, you want to review what your team members has done in particular bug for fix. So you will get details within this section, link to their repo, link to their specific branch that you want to review. So you don't have to run here and there, like logging on to some other account, whether it is Bitbucket or GitHub or some other, and review it from there. You will get the link from here and it will directly take you to that thing. So you don't have to make unnecessary filters over there. That's the one thing. And other thing I observe, like I do want to sometimes like my team grows to like 15 or 20 people, and then they keep updating comments on tickets or the transition on ticket, and I don't get chance to address at any point of time. So there are various chat tools. For example, initially when Jira started, they were using HipChat, but these days we all use, I guess, Slack. So Jira provides a very simple configuration to integrate Slack with your Jira account. What you can configure with that, whenever someone transition any ticket or when someone adds any ticket, a notification will go to your team's Slack group. For example, like if your QA is making some testing and he's failing some ticket and developer is busy in some other task, so integrating Slack will give him instant prompt on that group, like certain tickets has been failed. So if that needs an immediate attention, you don't have to go back to Jira, search for there, or look for your emails, some hundreds of emails, and find it like where it is. You can just look your one Slack group and you will get a consolidated information there. Again, that's not about integrating Slack and limiting yourself to within this JIRA portal. JIRA also provide wonderful export features. Whatever reports you have, you can export them as an Excel, as an PDF, in case you want to discuss it further. So that makes something that we use on day-to-day basis. Of course, there are a lot of configuration related thing. For example, like permission is one of the key thing. Which user you want to see which portion, and let's say your team is 50 people long and there are only technical leads, let's say 5 people, those should be do certain modification to someone else's ticket. So we can restrict user to use that account. You can configure permission in a way like user, once some ticket is there, their history cannot be deleted. They cannot be deleted from your JIRA account, so that accidentally or intentionally nobody deletes someone else's comments or description or like that. So all these are like configurable. JIRA provides all the setting related stuff at one place. So if you go here, you can update the permission, update the notification settings, update the screens, update the workflow that you want to use, change the roles of individuals. And if you find like default fields that JIRA provides, like bug, story, subtask are not sufficient to you, and you want to have your own type of field, so you can provide add those sort of configurations as well. So I guess in my experience so far, I have used, if you create sufficient filters in jQuery and configure your dashboard with the certain number of gadgets, that will give you a clear-cut picture of where your team stands, where your project going, and you will find it far better to manage your team and addressing their issues. So that's pretty much I use on like day-to-day basis. Of course, there are plenty of things you can configure group and provide necessary user groups. You can integrate the JIRA with Confluence. Confluence can be linked with JIRA. Let's say you are creating your API flow, or let's say project flow, you can create the document under Confluence. That is also one of the product of Atlassian. You can link JIRA to Confluence, Confluence to JIRA, so that you don't have to look for here and there. You just have to press like type ticket number in the Confluence document, and it will automatically create a link for your JIRA ticket. And something similar, you can link your Confluence document within your JIRA ticket. So that's how I use it on day-to-day basis. But any questions on that, if you want to, I'm sure like a lot of things have been posted on chat. So let me know if anything is specific I should be answering. I'll try to. Should I consider it as no questions?
There are many questions, Ashutosh. Why don't you see chat? I think there are people who are asking questions. Maybe those questions are either to you or to Sudhakar.
Let me go through.
All right. Before we wrap it for the day, for the event, open for any questions that you have for me, for the speakers, for the community, how you can be of any help, anything that comes to your mind which you would love to share, or maybe a quick feedback of how you love the event. And you can go ahead and unmute yourself. We have not muted anyone specifically.
So someone, I guess, asked how to use like labels and components. So just to answer that thing.
Yes, Ashutosh. Ideally, this is a question that comes up in my project, because they know labels, because in the Confluence we use labels. But how is fixed version different from the component, and how can we either create a dashboard or how do we filter it out is the major thing that I come across.
Right. So, Subhash, I guess, right? So fixed version and release version are kind of dedicated to address a specific part of your problem or requirement. But when we say labels, it is, we can make it generic. And like whatever tags you add over here, you will be able to filter your query using those labels. So just here I added as label, and if I add another label, and there is no list of it. If you find something in list available, you can utilize it. If you don't have, just create another label. Let's say I added ABC for here, and the ABC will be tagged to this ticket. And now if I go to my search query, I can find this ticket just by making it like labels equals to it, you will find that thing available here. So even let's say you added some label 10 days back, or team has started using a new label for last 7 days, you just have to you can just search those queries that falls under that label. So it's just another runtime filter that you can make on any ticket. So there is no pre-configuration you have to do.
And Ashutosh, if you allow me, these labels, actually, I've used like in my previous project, actually, where we have like a business, we have a dependency on the UX, and actually, we are doing this backlog grouping session that time, and there has some dependency actually with the UX or architect. What we have done actually, we have to identify the stories. Those are the meeting the definition of ready actually. So what we have done, we have created the several labels actually. Dev ready, embedded it. If it is embedded, if it embedded with the UX, if it is embedded with the functional requirement spending or architects ready. So you can use the labels based on your requirement, and it's very powerful. As you said, you can filter down and you can showcase, you can create the dashboard accordingly or gadget use for that.
Correct, Sudhakar. So that's what I'm saying. Like everything that basically, if you have configured your JIRA in the beginning, and anything that relates to filter or categorization of your tickets that you have not identified in the beginning, you can put that under label category. So you don't have to reconfigure your workflow or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else before we go for the close of this event? Okay.
I have one question for currently in my project, we are working on the ERP actually, SAP system actually, and we are using Kanban. I've never seen anyone like who's using the Sprint or Scrum board using the when they have this ERP system. Like any suggestion, any practices when we are using or dealing with this SAP system, because SAP is very they have a different workflow. And anyone using SAP ERP system in the JIRA?
We had worked on SAP migration, where SAP on-premise we have migrated to Azure Cloud. So basically, when the Scrum team was there to prepare the cloud environment, the landing zone and everything, those issue types we have created on our boards, on Kanban board, you can use, or Scrum board you can use. But we were preferably doing a Scrum framework. So where the team were meeting for daily Scrum meetings and having, but it was not over, the review were not for the client, because it was the IP of my organization, the entire concept, how we are dealing with. So the review and retro and everything would happen were internally.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are just in time. So before closing it, thank you, Ashutosh, and thank you, Sudhakar. Any last comments and feedbacks? How was your experience of this event?
Thank you for having us, and please bring us more such events for us.
Okay, Sudhakar, Ashutosh, how is your experience before we last few words from each one of you?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
using JIRA for more than 10 years. So sharing that knowledge is something giving me very exciting feeling. So it's great
Sudhakar,
experience sharing.
yeah,
any last words from you?
yeah. I also enjoyed a lot, Siddharth. Yeah, and love to participate furthermore. Actually, futures. Yeah, and love to see that people are participating, asking good question here. Thank you all.
Thank you. So